Alright guys, we're going to get started with solving quadratics today. Today we are going to be using the quadratic formula, but you need to understand that the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are always numbers, okay? So whatever number is with the x squared is your a value, whatever number is with the x is your b value, and whatever number that doesn't have any variables is always your c value. You also need to know the quadratic formula, which is negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You need to memorize this, okay? You're just going to be plugging your a, b, and c values into this equation and simplifying it as much as you can. Okay, so if we look at number 1, negative 8v squared is my a value, 8v is my b value, and negative 8 is my c value. Please make sure you're taking the signs in front of them with it. So let's go ahead and start plugging things in. Negative, I'm going to plug in. Whenever I plug something in, I'm going to put it in parentheses. B, which is 8, plus minus the square root of b squared, which is also 8, minus 4ac. So a is negative 8, and c is also negative 8, all over 2a, which is negative 8. Plug that in parentheses. Now you're going to simplify it. So this negative and 8 just becomes a negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared, which is 64. And then you would do negative 4 times negative 8 times negative 8 to give us a negative 256 all over negative 8 times 2, which is 16. Now we are going to simplify it even more. So negative 8 stays, plus or minus, we're dealing with what's inside the square root first. So 64 minus 256 gives us a negative 192 all over negative 16. Now I need to simplify my square root here. So I'm going to break my 192 down. I'm going to go ahead and do it quickly. So negative 192. Whenever you have a negative inside the square root, the biggest thing to get rid of that negative, you have to make an I. Whenever there is a negative square root, it is called an imaginary number, okay? So if you see a negative inside your square root, just put an I on the outside of the square root, okay? Negative 192, I know that 64 times 3 goes into it. 3 is a dead number. That's going to stay inside the square root. The square root of 64 is 8. So it's going to turn to 8i square root of 3. Okay, so I would have negative 8 plus or minus 8i square root of 3 all over negative 16. Okay, here now you have to see if you can simplify this, but the only way that you can simplify this is if both of these top numbers here can evenly be divided by negative 16 or evenly be reduced. So they both can be reduced to negative and negative is going to give me a positive. So it will be 8 divided by 16, which is going to reduce to 1/2. So 1 on top, 2 on the bottom, plus or minus 1i. You can just put I if you'd like, square root of 3. So that would be your final answer. All right, let's practice this again. Label what your A, B, and C are. So my A value is 4. My B value is negative 7, and my C value is negative 11. Now I need to start plugging this in. So negative B value, which is negative 7. plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. Let me go ahead and put this down, times 2a. Okay, so my b is -7, my a is 4, and my c is -11. My a that goes down here is also 4. Now we're going to simplify. So a negative and a negative is going to give me a +7 square root. -7 times -7, so -7 squared gives me a +49. Please make sure you're using the parentheses or it will make it a negative number if you're not using parentheses in your calculator. Okay, -4 times 4 times -11 is going to give me a +176 all over 8. Now I need to simplify even more, so 49 plus 176. I'm going to get the square root of 225 over 8. The square root of 225 is 15. It is a perfect square, all over 8. Now you would have to simplify this, okay? So you would do 7 plus 15 divided by 8, and you would do 7 minus 15 divided by 8. Okay, so 7 minus 15 gives me a -8 divided by 8. Well, -8 divided by 8 is a -1. There's one answer. And then 7 plus 15 gives me 22 over 8, which I need to reduce that fraction to 11 over 4. So you have 2 answers for that one. All right, number 3. Let's go ahead and identify what our A, B, and C value are. A is a -1, B is a -8, and C is a -13. So we'll go ahead and plug those in. Negative B value plus or minus the square root. And go ahead and plug in my B value of, we have now square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C. A is -1, C is a -13, all over 2A, so 2 times -1. Okay, so now I'm going to simplify. Negative and negative gives me a +8 plus or minus. -8 times -8 gives me 64. Then -4 times -1 times -13 is going to give me a -52 all over 2 times -1, which is -2. Simplify what's in your square root. So 8 plus or minus the square root of 12 all over -2. I would have to simplify my square root here. So it's a +12. Square root of 12, the biggest perfect square that goes into that is 4 times 3. 3 is a dead number. Square root of 4 is 2. So it would be 2 square root of 3. So my answer is going to simplify to 8 plus or minus 2 square root of 3 all over -2. I can do 8 divided by -2, and I can also do 2 divided by -2, so I'm going to simplify that. 8 divided by -2 is going to give me a -4. Plus or minus 2 divided by -2 gives me 1. So you can write the 1 there or not. It's totally up to you. So that would be your final answer. All right, moving on to the last one, number 4 here. Let's label our A, B, and C values. So A is -5, B is -6, and C is -3. Okay, let's go ahead and plug them in. So negative B, which is a -6, plus or minus square root of B squared, -6 again, minus 4AC. Plugging those in, my A is -5 and my C is a -3. All over 2a, which is a negative 5. Okay, now let's go ahead and simplify it. So negative and negative gives me a positive 6 plus or minus negative 6 times negative 6. So negative 6 squared gives me 36 minus 4, negative 4 times negative 5 times negative 3, which is going to give me a negative 60 all over 2 times a. So 2 times negative 5 to give me a negative 10. Now I'm going to simplify. So 6 plus or minus 36 minus 60 gives me a negative 24 all over negative 10. Simplifying my negative 24, my square root of negative 24. Remember, the negative on the inside of a square root automatically gives you an I. It's considered an imaginary number. So now what goes into 24? That would be 4 and 6. So square root of 4 is 2. So 2 square root of 6 to simplify it. So now I have 6 plus or minus square root square root of 2i square root of 6 all over negative 10. Simplify your numbers if you can. 6 divided by 10 reduces, and 2 divided by 10 also reduces. So they have to be able to reduce to the same number on the bottom. 6 divided by 10 is going to reduce to 3/5, and 2 over 10 is going to reduce to 1/5. So I can leave my bottom number as 5, make the top 3, because 6 over 10 reduced to 3 over 5, and then 2 over 10 reduces to 1 over 5. Again, you can put the 1 there. You don't have to. Don't forget your I, 6. And that would be your final answer. Okay. If you guys have any questions, please make sure you're joining the Google Meets for help. If not, have a great day.